Uh, Thank you. All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our event, Library Driven, the Palace Project Virtual Summit. We're so glad that everyone is able to join us here today. This mini conference event will run from noon until 5 p.m. Eastern. I'm your co-host, Tara Carpenter, and along with my colleague, Jill Scarson, we'll be your MCs throughout the day, kind of hosting the events, walking you through everything. About today, we have breaks scheduled in between each session, so you're welcome to join us for the entire afternoon or pop in and out as time permits. We are recording the entire session and we'll share the video and slides with the group in the week following the summit. Throughout the event, our team will be monitoring the chat and the Q&A function, so please feel free to ask questions and share your feedback as we go. And here's our agenda for the day. So starting in the first slot here from noon to 12:20, we'll have the introduction and opening remarks. Then from 12:30 to 1:30, the State Library Stakeholder Panel. After that, we'll hear about sustainable content. Then we have a 20-minute break, and we'll reconvene at 2:40 p.m. Eastern for community-driven development. Then at 3:40, we'll have the Palace Community and Focus panel, and we'll wrap up the day at 4:30 p.m. Eastern with the academic library discussion. So first up today, we'll hear from John Wilkin, the Lyrasis CEO, and Michael Atwood, Director of Ebooks and Community Engagement at Lyrasis, also known as EBCE. They'll be kicking off the day with opening remarks and introduction to the Palace Project. And now I'll go ahead and hand things over to John and Michael.
Sure, thank you. Hi, folks. I'm John Wilkin. I'm the CEO of Lyrasis, and I want to apologize in advance here. I'm on the road, so I've got a wonky internet connection, and we'll just make the best of what we've got here. I know that I'm new to many of you, and I won't bore you with a review of my entire career, but I want to give you a little bit of background as we go into this summit. I got to say, I'm excited about the virtual summit and the program that our folks have put together. It is really very, very compelling. So I've worked as an academic librarian and as a higher education administrator for about 40 years. And in libraries, my time was spent in collection development, technical services, and in library technology, including building some of the earliest digital library platforms and serving as the first executive director of HathiTrust. The focus for my career has been shared services for libraries, with the belief that I have that we can do much more in each of our local contexts if we address common problems through shared solutions. That's the philosophy that brought me to Lyrasis, and it's what galvanizes us in Lyrasis in building and delivering services to the communities that we serve. That notion of addressing common problems through shared solutions. Before I introduce Michael Atwood, our Senior Director for Ebooks and Community Engagement, EBCE, I'd like to spend a few minutes talking to you about Lyrasis' commitment to creating and sustaining a library-owned ebook platform. First, to be clear, as a nonprofit organization created by libraries in service to libraries and related types of organizations, we operate on your behalf. This is reflected in our governance, it's reflected in our financial models, it's reflected in our mission. In recent years, we've expanded our work beyond licensing to include advancing the interests of the community in open access, in supporting open source technologies, including running that software for hundreds of institutions, and in support of ebooks. Much has been written about the current imbalance in the ebook marketplace. And one of the key problems that writers have identified as a source of those problems is the ownership of ebook platforms by entities other than libraries. That ownership results in new forms of technological and legal lock-in, limited choices in the ebook marketplace, failing to represent smaller and less mainstream publishers, and most of all, the elimination of choice by libraries acting on behalf of their users. With support from the Knight Foundation, with support from the Lyrasis board, with support from you, our community, and our partnership with DPLA, we've embarked on an effort to try to reset that paradigm. No, we're not trying to take down existing ebook vendors. That's not our goal. Yes, we are trying to give you choices, choices in licensing models where possible, choices in publishers and books, choices in ways that you can incorporate existing content into your offerings, and we hope ways that you can manage your cost. We've worked hard on a sustainability strategy, and I'm pleased to let you know that Lyrasis is very close to success in breaking even in our ebook efforts. A very hard, a big lift, and we've made a lot of progress. So I want to say I'm grateful for your support, support from the Knight Foundation, support from DPLA, support from the Lyrasis board in getting to where we are now. That is the perfect segue to introducing Michael Atwood to you. Michael leads our ebook and community engagement efforts and has been key to developing and guiding the strategy that I was referring to. He came to Lyrasis with a decade of experience in the ebook industry, putting together innovative and library-friendly solutions. He joined Lyrasis 4 years ago, and for nearly 3 years has been leading our talented team in assembling a multi-pronged, multimodal approach that serves libraries. So, Michael, can I hand this over to you?
Yes. John, thank you so much for the overview of Lyrasis, the overview of the Palace project and kind of where it came from, and also the very kind introduction. As John mentioned, my name is Michael Atwood. I am the Senior Director of the Community Engagement Division here at Lyrasis. We're super excited to welcome everyone here to the first ever Palace Summit. And I believe this is a wonderful milestone for the Palace community that we've reached this level, that we can have a multi-hour summit with a lot of engaging topics that the community can attend here. For the inaugural gathering, we've brought together a number of Palace stakeholders to share their experiences and insights. The lineup includes, state, local, public, academic libraries, along with Lyrasis staff who will share perspectives on the past, the present, and the future of the Palace project. Together, they represent the breadth of our community and the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. Our program spans the full spectrum, from practical implementation and to adoption, and finally to strategic conversations about the future of libraries. Our guest speakers will also share perspectives that showcase the many ways the Palace Project is working for them today. We encourage you to experience the summit from start to finish, obviously, since the conversations will build on one another in connecting meaningful ways. With that said, we know schedules are tight, and as Tara's mentioned, the agenda is designed so that you can drop in and out as time allows, without losing sight of the central thread of this gathering, which is collaboration, innovation, and the theme from the title of the summit, library driven. At its core, library driven means flexibility because ultimately every library is unique. But there is one area where libraries are not unique. In 2025, ebook access is still harder and more expensive than it should be. For example, a student discovers a title in a catalog, clicks through 3, 4, 5 vendor pages, hits a convoluted login flow, and finally gives up, never accessing the book. A public library patron juggles multiple applications to access all the various content offerings that their library has, and separate platform has become an accepted excuse for a poor user experience. A professor builds a syllabus around an ebook that says it's perpetual, and halfway through the semester, it disappears. We call this access, but for many patrons, it feels more like a denial of service. And if you add in licensing and the escalating cost of acquisition, where a $20 trade paperback turns into a $120 2-year e-license, and the scale of the challenge quickly comes into focus for the library. These so-called Mission Impossible licenses, as a colleague aptly puts it, trap libraries in no-win situations, effectively punishing them for successfully engaging their communities at scale. Finally, as if that weren't enough, libraries often discover they have little to no flexibility in where they can buy e-content or how it can be delivered. These various systems meant to expand reach instead lock libraries into various vendor silos. So that's the ebook landscape in a nutshell. Messy, expensive, inflexible, and too often challenging for the patron and libraries alike. And this is exactly where the library-driven flexibility of the Palace Project steps in. The platform is being built to give libraries back what the current system has slowly stripped away. As John mentioned, choice, control, simplicity. The flexibility of the Palace Project is more than a feature. It's a guiding principle that keeps libraries in control of their mission while navigating the shifting terrain of technology, licensing, and patron expectations. It means libraries, not vendors, not formats, not closed ecosystems, can set the terms of access. Flexibility allows us to adapt when platforms change the rules, when costs climb, or when patrons' needs shift seemingly overnight. And most importantly, it ensures that libraries remain the driver of their digital future. Flexibility means patrons have the option, but are not forced to bounce across multiple platforms if they don't want to. With the Palace Project, they can search, borrow, read right in the applications. Flexibility means licensing on your own terms. Perpetual licensing, subscriptions, open access, local content, experimental licensing. The Palace Project doesn't force any single model. It makes room for every model, current, future, so publishers and libraries can work together to pick what works best for their communities. Flexibility means real vendor freedom. Libraries can choose where to buy and how to deliver and who to work with, the various pieces of content that they want to do. The goal is to integrate content from all sources so libraries have the freedom to purchase content in ways that are best for their unique communities. And finally, and I think this is an important point here, flexibility isn't just good for the library. It's good for publishers and vendors also. By opening up distribution channels and making access seamless, the Palace Project creates more opportunities for content to reach readers and more ways for various vendors and publishers to experiment with licensing. When libraries thrive, so do the publishers and the vendors who serve them. By providing flexibility, the Palace Project takes today's messy, expensive, and inflexible e-content landscape and aims to transform it into a system where libraries are back in control. Today, you're going to hear from a number of libraries, both public and academic, on how they use the flexibility provided by the Palace Project to meet their unique needs. And by the end of the summit, I hope you are as excited about the future of the platform as we are. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed today's event.
All right, Michael, thank you so much. Thank you, John. We really appreciate hearing from you today. And if anyone has any questions or feedback before we move on, please feel free to share with us. Otherwise, we'll take a brief break and we will reconvene at 12:30 p.m. Eastern for our first session, which will be the State Library Stakeholder Panel moderated by Michael Atwood.